All right, welcome back to the Rockhound Podcast. We're so pleased that you're here, and we are broadcasting rocks far and wide. Don't get hit. We would love to invite you into our Makers Challenge world tonight. We're going to be talking about this wonderful thing. And if you don't know about it, well, the person who's going to introduce himself next is the founding father. So why don't you fill us in on what it is and who you are?
I am Theo, maker of challenge. Quite literally, actually. Yes, the Makers Challenge. I reached out to 13 other channels and challenged them to make something out of rock. Doesn't have to be completely out of rock, but make something. And yeah, this is year 3, Makers Challenge number 4. I never thought it would turn into the thing that it did, but it's kind of awesome, and I love it. And it's like one of my favorite times of year every time.
It is. It's like Christmas and spring.
Yeah, it's
And
awesome.
I think it's just getting better and better.
Yep.
The first one was amazing. And, this is an opportunity for anybody who's listening. If you haven't experienced the Makers Challenge, you have some super good binge watching.
Yes, and I think it should be easy to find Kyle, man behind the curtain. I actually have a playlist with every Makers Challenge video. So if we want to put that into the description, that way people can find it. Okay.
So like for the first Makers Challenge, it seemed like, everybody felt like the gauntlet was thrown down and they wanted to do something kind of, it sort of birthed itself into this thing that people went beyond their comfort zone to create something super different or super challenging. And I think that has just like the bar has just been getting raised every year.
It does. It's crazy. Like it's funny if I go back and look at like the invitations from the very first Makers Challenge, because I literally in that message say, like, you don't have to do anything crazy. If you just cut a rock, I'm happy with it. If you make a cabochon, that's enough. Like, it's more about the, coming together than it is about making some crazy thing. No one did that.
Nobody listened.
Everyone was like, all right, I'm going to do the best thing I possibly can. But because of that, we have this positive feedback loop where the bar is set. And then the next year, everyone's like, well, I have to do one step above that. And it's so cool to see what it has become. I think Travis said it the other day in one of the chats where it's like, I created the challenge to be more of the challenge is just to make something out of rock. But the challenge has kind of become, you challenge yourself to do something you're not comfortable doing. And it's like, that was not the intention, but it kind of is the result at this point, which is awesome.
Totally. And I think another really super interesting byproduct is that a bunch of people have also been compelled to do Makers Challenges themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a really neat thing where I guess everybody like in the whole community is enticed into not only enjoying these entertaining videos, because they also seem to be getting more and more entertaining. And then go and do something awesome themselves, which I have seen on both Instagram and YouTube, folks that I didn't even know watched. And all this, they mentioned Makers Challenge and boom, they've got their own project. And I was like,
it's so cool. Actually,
it's infectious.
I think, speaking of Travis, I think the first time he made fishing lures was in celebration of the Makers Challenge, the first one.
Yeah,
if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And now
that would have been Makers like what, 2 or 3? That was the fall show, right?
No, even before that.
Oh, so it was before that.
He was in the second Makers Challenge where he made the fishing lures, but he independently, the first Makers Challenge made fishing lures, and now he's like the gemstone fishing lure like maestro, making awesome ones. He's got it like mastered. But yeah, it's really cool to see everyone getting involved.
Totally. It's great to see the inspiration catch fire all over the community. How cool. All right, so I think we covered who you were.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. And I'm Karen from Ozone Fine Art Ventures out here on the stormy Oregon coast as per tradition, but hopefully that'll move some sand so that we can find some more stuff. And let's get into the shouts really quick before we talk about more mastery makery things.
Sounds
And
good.
yeah, first we'd love to thank Dustin for coming on to the last show and sharing his druziest of druzy goodness. Dustin Finds Rocks is the challenge or the channel. And we were talking about a few things over the course of that show. One of them was the Weird Rock Show. And there were some weird rocks that I think everybody had a weird rock actually, either for show and tell or having some druzy in it. So I think that's going to be a thing. We might have to have like a viewer show and tell, but weird rock show.
Think so. I think
so. Yeah. And then we also introduced a new mineral term. It was nubbins. Am I correct?
I still have been using that.
Nubbins.
So thank you so much, Dustin. That was an amazing time. So Val Summers was stating that weird is wonderful. And so also Lisa Largent Rifficness said that she's going for weird for the win. And
Absolutely.
She also enjoyed Dustin's marvels as per tradition. We all miss Kurt. So yes. she was talking about missing on Kurt. We will definitely, she wanted to see like an all host show again. And so I'm sure that we'll get around to that. I mean, we've got some milestones coming up, so we might have to do a thing.
I mean, I'm still here. I'm just in the background
eating jelly beans.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm mounting down some jelly beans right now.
Who wouldn't?
You all wonder what he's doing back there. That's it.
Yes, we have to pull back the curtain every now and again.
Yeah, and he's just eating his jelly beans.
Yes. James Hislop shared that he'd heard that druzy would be a coating of crystals that would be about 1 millimeter. He thought like a same as or less than millimeter, but he couldn't find the citation for that. That sounds, kind of eyeball accurate for a good spec on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds about right for my own, terminology for how I identify it. Like, not that I saw that study at all. It's just like, I don't know, if you see crystals too big, it's like, I don't know if that's druzy.
Yeah, it's nubbins.
Yeah, if anything bigger than a millimeter is a nubbin.
See how useful that is?
Just so happened to be walking by at that moment. She heard me say nubbin and just went.
It's a new term.
Hi, Alexis. It's a new geology term. We made it up.
It is.
Yeah.
TM.
TM Rockhound Podcast.
So I know we need the big all caps shirt now, with the podcast logo. So he also, James Hislop, was talking about being on a great big Rockhound road trip, and he offered being a mobile option as a guest. And so we need to look into that for sure. And he was also up to collaborations. And so go over to his channel and comment, or you can comment on this podcast if he's listening. If you want to meet up with him, I guess he's in the West. And so he was headed to Colorado or something like that. You can go read his comment in the last podcast with Dustin Finds Rocks to get any more details on that one. Cloud from Kalgoorlie in Australia enjoyed Dustin, and another vote for the Weird Rock Show, of course. So, we have to do it. Colleen Neophyte Ors loved the show and was very interested in visiting her, the Dolomite in her area because of all the druzy talk. So
that's what I forgot. Remember, I was telling you, there were two things I was supposed to bring because I said I'd bring them. And I remembered one of them. I couldn't remember what the other thing was. That was it. It was my strawberry quartz.
Oh, yeah. So you have to bring that next time.
Yeah. I'll put a reminder in my phone. Probably not tonight because I'll probably forget. But tomorrow when I watch this premiere, I'll remember.
You need to remind yourself about the reminder. So
yeah, exactly. Set an alarm to remind me.
Yeah. So like Colleen, you might have druzy near you. So yeah, check it out. Randy the Roaming Rockhound and Sandmaker said it was great fun when the hardest heads in rock hounding all show up together, unquote. And I think that's one of the nicest things anybody ever said about us. So thank you, Randy. And he was checking in from Jasper, Georgia. Blind Squirrel Rocks also voted for Weird Rocks, and so too did Donna DeMarco. Ontario Rockhound, Aiden, Cynthia Foss, and Michael Robertsons were all digging it, along with you guys all in the chatting away right now. And we thank all of the Discordians for doing that and keeping the rocks rolling over on the Discord all week long. If you want to do that with us, which I highly recommend, you can
I need to get
send...
on that. I meant to do it last week and I forgot. Or not last week. I was like 3 days ago and I forgot.
Talking to you personally.
Yeah, you're like, dude, come on.
Maker of challenges.
I'm sorry.
And you out there, people. But yeah, you definitely need to join us over there. It's super fun. And we have an email in the description that you can send your request. We will send you an invite, and we shall be doing all of this weirdness and fun over there on the Discord all week long. And that's the shouts. So this week has been a chunky one, and so was last week. You want to share?
I could pretty much sum up the whole of my bi-weekly period of saying that I've been working nonstop on my Maker's Challenge project. It is finally done. I finished it last night.
Cheers.
Oh, and it is my favorite project I've ever made. It is my longest project I've ever made, and I think it honestly is my favorite video I've ever made. Like just everything came out so well. I don't want to overhype it, but oh my gosh, I am so hyped about it. It is so cool. It fought me every single step of the way, but it still somehow culminated into like such a perfect end product. Like I'm so thrilled with it.
Wow. And so people are listening the evening before it comes out. When do they see it?
It will be premiering 5 p.m. Mountain Time on Saturday, the 22nd. So I actually have the premiere with a fake thumbnail because I didn't want to give any spoilers.
I love your fake thumbnail.
Yeah, actually, when this comes out, the timeline. So yeah, when this comes out, pretty much right after this premiere, I'll be actually putting up the real thumbnail. So if you guys want early spoilers after the podcast, head over there. But yeah, I have the premiere actually up right now. So if you go over to that link, you can click the notify me button. That way you will get told when it's about to happen.
Nice.
I'm gonna time out for a second. What's up, Alexis? I already did that though. Okay, it's a resin Gengar. Alexis told me to tell you guys. That's the project. that project I did in June. I just decided to post the video from my second channel onto my main channel, and hope no one would notice. Yeah,
we're all confused.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, it's so cool. I'm so happy about it. So for the past like 2 or 3 weeks, I've been working until 3 weeks ago I was working until 8 to 9 p.m. every night. Last week I was working till about 10 p.m. every night, and then this week I was working till midnight every night, and finally got it done. I'm afraid to even do the math on how many hours I have on it, because I did the math for about like 1/7 of the project, and it was already over 100 hours, and I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to know how long this is. It dwarfs the length of my last project, my second longest project, though. It's insane. And it looks so good. I cannot wait to share it with everyone. It has been so hard not posting pictures because I'm just so excited about it.
Wow.
But on Monday, I needed a break mentally and physically from the stress. So we went out to the river and had one of the best rock hunts. It was amazing. We found agate after agate after agate, including something absolutely incredible that I will be showing for show and tell. It's insane. What? Okay. Oh, sorry. She was calling Cyrus, not me. But yeah, it was such a good day and a very much needed break from the stress that is the Maker's Challenge. Yeah. I feel like this is kind of what we're. Oh gosh. Oh no, she's coming. Hello, Alexis. You have a job. Sorry, technical issues.
Everybody loves puppies.
Right?
The sweetest little dog. Hi,
yes,
honey.
you are.
Hi. Do you want to go with mom? Yeah, let's go with mom. Bye. Sorry.
No sorries. That was welcome.
She's so just bubbly and happy all the time. Always. I forgot where I was going with that sentence. Dog derailed my train of thought completely. So
it's all good.
Yeah, I'll just say that. Yes.
Excellent.
I'll just leave it at yes.
So does that pretty well wrap up your week, you think?
Yes.
Weeks?
Nonstop working on Maker's Challenge project and rock hunt. That was literally all I've been up to the past.
Oh, that's joyous
14
though.
days.
I mean,
yeah.
Hands are dirty and you probably need sleep, but at least you're doing things you love.
And I don't know what's wrong with my brain. Like after all this work, I finally finished it and I edited the video way too late last night, but it's done. Instead of doing something easy on myself and taking a day to just kind of recoup and take a victory lap, instead I'm like, you know what? I'm going to deep clean the shop.
Go figure.
We're about 2/3 of the way through deep cleaning the shop now.
We are gluttons for punishment. And there's something about coffee,
Yeah. That's the only reason. That's the only thing that's like, I got it hooked up to an IV when I'm going to bed. Like,
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. Just
have that coffee maker going before you wake up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty much the only thing that's been keeping me alive this whole time.
Yeah, totally brought to you by caffeine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This episode sponsored by Caffeine.
Oh yeah. So I would have to say same, wonderfully busy, of course with the challenge. And then my brother decided so welcomely, but that spring break would be best spent here. And I agree, but I didn't know very long ahead of time. So I was like, okay, that was my, wrap up my Maker's Challenge.
Oh no.
So, because they left, I think, they left the day before I had to have the video up.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
I love those guys so much. And so I was like, okay, I need to slide everything, forward a week or whatever so that I can get it all done before they're here. And that was really something. And so I was burning the midnight oil for real. There was burning involved. And so we get to see more of that, of course, in a little bit. And we did get out for some beach hunts, which was super awesome.
Yes.
With those guys and some hikes. And I don't know. It was jamming. My brother and his girlfriend Aria are very musical, and so whenever they come, all of the instruments in the house get played. And my drum kit was a little bit on the dusty side. I've been very busy, and so
percussion tends to knock that dust right off, though.
Oh, I did. There were great bouts of drumming and the basses and the guitars and everything got well used, and so that was really good. It kind of sounds like as far as plunging into something kind of intense like the Maker's Challenge, that something like that really, you kind of do have to rattle your cage, take that walk on the river or play.
Yeah.
I think that any kind of play.
Yeah, seriously, take a break for your sanity. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I think I was getting cross-eyed and getting bundled up and stoved up or whatever. So
what are breaks?
For me, it was I'm starting to make noticeably more mistakes because I am running on fumes. I should probably take a wellness break and go to the river, and then I'll be rejuvenated tomorrow. Yeah.
Or when you can't twist your own arm enough to do that one thing.
Yeah.
Like that one part of the project that needs to be done, but like there's something that like it's like the wrong side of a magnet, and I can't explain that. But sometimes I just can't bring myself to like, dude, you need to epoxy that thing right now.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like I can't bring myself to do it. So yeah, you need to go take a walk.
No. I think that is fully justified. I've done enough resin stuff on the second channel and on the early days of the main channel where it's like resin that 100% is justified, because it's like, all right, I've just spent blank number of hours making this thing. Now I'm going to use the resin, and if the resin doesn't cure properly, it's all ruined and I have to start over from scratch. So I get the procrastination on resin, honestly.
Yeah,
resin and epoxy, it's like there's a very large realm of things going very bad when you introduce resin.
Yeah. So I think that sometimes I have to like really know that I'm in the right headspace to do it.
Yeah. You have to do some yoga first, meditate, light some incense, and just, center yourself.
All right. Make sure that my, caffeine hands aren't like,
exactly.
So yeah, anyways, so happy that I was able to have fun and do Maker's Challenge. It turned out super fun, and I'm super excited about what not only I got, but also that I was able to, share with everybody with the video, but it opened a bunch of doors for me. So I was also pumped on that so much. Like I had pretty much wrapped up the project part by the time my guest came. And I hadn't really had a chance to do any editing. So I was trying to like do that in the nooks and crannies. And I like watching my editing going like, okay, not that I want you guys to leave, but when you leave, I'm so excited to get back to this.
It's like, I'm really happy you're here and I love you guys, but also like you can leave anytime.
Right. Like as soon as they, the door closes, I'm like running to go get the stuff to make, because it was a huge mess in the kitchen. Yeah, like that was basically the lab for my project. And so, that all like kind of bleh, and then I had to like clean it all up and suppress that. And so now it gets to blossom and take over my house again, which will be fun. So anyways, that is the long story on what my week was all about. So let's get into these makers already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, shall we?
Yes, we shall. You want to go ahead and roll us out?
Sure. So day one was Sunday. First video was from Katydid, and it was flippin' sweet.
Oh, yeah.
So a while back, she found a 28-pound piece of petrified wood, ridiculously huge, and she slabbed the whole thing. Got so many slabs out of it, and they were gorgeous. And
they were
she
window
took those
panes.
Yeah, like literally. Talk about like dinner plate size slabs. But yeah, so she took some of those slabs and basically made a little table out of them. And then Jim created a light fixture underneath it so that the light would shine up through the slabs, and then they did a resin pour over top. And it was awesome. So cool. Absolutely loved it.
It was, everybody's always talking about how they can get the perma backlight on the cool thing. Cause you're always holding it up to the light or the sun, or how do I get this thing? So they definitely just nailed this project for having this perfect, glowy box. And they engineered it so cool. That was Mr. did along with Katydid, this was a collab. And so they got some neat carpentry going and figured out, like, I like their little finger holes because these are all things that like I want to be able to light up my rocks, but you have to be able to get in there, make a light. Yeah. And so that they did some really, really neat troubleshooting. It just turned out gorgeous.
Yeah, it looked amazing. And I especially loved it because the Montana petrified wood is just, it's absolutely amazing when you have a light behind it, because you'll have this like brown, it looks like wood. Like we have really, really nice petrified wood in Montana, especially in the western part where she does a lot of her hunt, or not western, eastern part of Montana where she does most of her hunting. There's just phenomenal petrified wood, agatized wood, and really, really just silicified wood out there. And when you put a light on it, that piece of brown wood just bright red, like out of nowhere. It's like fire red and orange, and it's so pretty. So I love the application of that specific type of petrified wood that they use, because that is like some of my favorite stuff to get lost in with a backlight. So it's like, it's the perfect thing for it.
Yeah, there was a point in the video, again, because these specimens were so large, that she was pointing out where like the knots were and stuff. The format itself was, more massive than I think a lot of people will probably ever find, as far as, that high a quality silicified petrified wood to slab in the first place. And then, to treat us all to those gorgeous views of those details was really neat too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done, Kate, if you watch this. And Mr.
Bravo. Yes.
And then next would be, a podcast co-host, Kurt of Rock.Hounding.Adventures.
Absolutely. And that was a really cool challenge, because we got to see what happens when it doesn't happen. And then it happens.
Me and Alexis were talking about that. We were like, oh, plan A didn't work. I guess I'll just make paper out of rock. And I'm like, wow, how is that a backup plan? That's so freaking cool.
Right.
I don't know. I never thought of making my own paper. So the fact that was just sitting in the wings waiting to happen is like, that's brilliant. I love it. That's so cool.
You know what's really cool is if he made the paper out of rock, but then he used resin to harden the paper. So then he made scissors out of paper.
I said this. I was like, you could make rock, paper, scissors.
Oh my gosh, Kurt.
We gotta do it.
This. Yeah.
you need rock, paper, scissors.
You've been called to a second action.
Resin.
But it's seriously, that was kind of like, do you take door number 1, which was the original plan, or door number 2, which turned out to be like the new car? That was really, really neat. And I think it was Allison, Prairie Girl Rocks, who turned around and tried the challenge. Like, she saw him do it, and then she made her own mica paper from having watched it. Yeah.
Alexis saw it and instantly was like, well, I'm going to need that in my life. So I'm sure I will be doing the challenge soon at some point as well, because Alexis saw that and she's like, oh, I'm going to need some of that glitter paper.
So that was extremely successful, Kurt. Bravo on that. We loved it.
And then the next day we had Montana Rock Mom, who made a backpack holder, which was awesome. And she sent me pictures of it, and I was like, I'm probably gonna need to do this now, because my bag just unceremoniously hangs on a nail in the wall at the shop. It doesn't even have a hanger. Like, it literally, I just hook it up on a nail that's just hammered. It's like a 2-inch nail that I just hammered into the door frame, and that's where I hang my. I was like, I should probably treat the thing that makes my rock hounding possible with a little more, reverence, and make a hanger like that. It was so cool. And she picked such a nice piece of crazy lace to work with.
Oh, all the eye candy at the front of the video was fabulous. Like, each time she was like bringing out a new slab that she had, that Drogon had eaten.
Yeah.
And and then I thought it was really funny that she's like, and I'm not gonna film the cutting of the wood part, because my mom's gonna freak out about the safety or whatever.
Yeah.
Real things.
I relate to that a little too much. If I show you how I did this, I'm gonna get in trouble.
Well, there's another one that happens the next day that was talking about safety third as well.
Yep.
So but yeah, that was just gorgeous. And it turned out looking so pro. Like, there on the wall at the end, I was like, that's like designer stuff. I need to do that too. I've got like a bathroom robe hanger that's hanging from my wall, like literally right there, that's holding my backpack. And it's just, I was looking at that like, okay, now you're a redheaded stepchild, like you're a bathroom robe hanger. Like,
hey, it's still better than my nail.
It is, but I think that she has definitely introduced an accessory to my home that I'm gonna
absolutely
need to complete for sure.
Yeah,
Such
it
a
looks
cool
so good.
application that, to highlight rocks slabs that you don't know quite what to do with. Like, I need to look at you all the time.
Yeah, I think that was like
drawer.
one of my favorite parts about it is like that is something you will see constantly. Like some projects you do and it's like it sits on a shelf and you see it occasionally, but backpack hanger, every time you go rock hunting, you're going to see that thing and remember how cool it is and the process of making it and all the fixins, I guess.
Yeah. I think that there will probably not be an unrocked hanger in my home at some point, because like we have that fix for a fair number of things where it's just like, the kind of hanger you could just go buy at the tool store or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I'm definitely gonna
need a sexier hanger.
Yeah. Definitely need to upgrade it past my 2-inch nail.
Well, yeah, so thank you for that. That was a wonderful project and a gorgeous end to it for sure.
Absolutely.
And then
who did we have next after that?
I don't know, some like random, who knows, person.
I think she does a podcast.
I think so too. She talks a lot.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah, and so sure enough, Ozone Fine Art Adventures was invited to do this thing, and I like to set fire to things, so did a lot of that. And actually that's going to be my show and tell, so I wonder if we should like talk less about it now and maybe just let me like expound upon that when it's showsies and tellsies.
Yeah, that works just fine for me.
All right, cool.
If you literally have it with you, might as well just wait and talk about it then.
It's right here.
So next was Tuesday, and we had Currently Rockhounding, who made a freaking bird bath. And it was awesome.
Dude.
So cool.
Like at first, like I wasn't sure, like, okay, is he being facetious? And then he like seriously, turned out, and I love how step by step it was too.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I felt very accessible. If he did some of it seemed like was very laborious.
Yeah.
But at least you see how one can go about that.
Yeah, but absolutely.
When he started with the angle grinder, he got like, or he was using a drill. He was using a power drill for that, wasn't he? For the buffing, like the polishing and whatnot. He got such a good shine. Yeah,
I think so. Or was he used? No.
It seems like he went and got a drill.
Yeah, he was using the drill with the sanding pads because they
overheated, and then he moved over to a corded drill.
Corded drill. Yep,
yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I remember there was like some kind of shift, and it started working, and then I just could not believe what a fine finish he pulled up on that thing.
It looked so good, and I really, really like that he left everything raw except for the dish. Like, the contrast looks so good, and that color pops like crazy. That red marble looks so good inside of the, like even without adding the water, it just looks good in that dish. And then you add the water and the color pops even more.
Right? I mean, I don't even know if the birds can afford to land in that.
Yeah,
like it is so sheepy.
I told him, since he filled it with cereal, I told him that he needed to fill it with ramen. And he said that if he does that, then there will definitely be birds attracted to this. That's true.
Yeah, that was quite the elaborate cereal bowl.
So Jared, if you're watching, if you fill that with ramen, I promise I will come to your house dressed in a bird costume to eat out of your bird bath. That's gonna be my expensive last words.
I think everyone wants to see that now.
We need to see that. I'm picturing the Florida bird head, making an appearance. How cool would that be?
Yes.
Totally random.
I was thinking like a full body like Big Bird suit.
I think that would,
because I'm 6'4", so I could pull off Big Bird.
Wow. Can you get in the bath? Do you think you'll try to get in the back?
I don't know if Jared would want me to do that.
He did such a fine job on
I
the
would feel
stand
bad.
that perhaps not. Yeah, just
Yeah.
eating the ramen might be.
Yeah, that's probably enough.
Yeah, you killed it, Jared, though. That was absolutely
amazing.
Awesome. Yep. All right. And then, but wait, there's more on Tuesday. It was a quest for details.
Quest for details.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And he blew the conch back.
He did. I was not expecting that. I liked that.
That was a great
returned
opening.
the call.
Yeah. and I was actually fascinating while I was watching his video, and it was so like meditative and peaceful.
I was literally about to say, like, if you could describe that video with one word, it would be zen.
Totally zen.
It was just so
Toes in the creek and the waving hair of the redwood. I was just like, I need more coffee, and this is awesome, and I want to try it so bad. Yeah, I wonder if it would work with juniper, because we don't have redwoods where we usually go rock hounding, but wouldn't that be a fun thing to do while you're camping rock hounding?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
I was surprised at the strength that he got out of it.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
Well, among his comments, somebody, I think it was Afia Raka, said something about, every bushman should know this. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, actually that's a skill. If it'll hold that rock, then you might be able to do some stuff with rope like that.
Oh, heck yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Could get you out of some trouble. Or put you in
now I'm wondering like what kind of other barks you could do it with, if like any bark would work. Or
I'm betting that some at least of the similar barks, like you see how Junies are always doing that like shreddy thing, and so I'm kind of hoping I'm gonna try it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was trying to think of what I have locally that it would actually work. We have a lot of cottonwood, but it's too solid, I think. Probably we have a lot of aspen though, like quaking aspen, and aspen would probably work because it's really, really like compact, thin, stringy.
Yeah,
underneath that would probably work.
Yeah,
we have a lot of aspen up in the mountains as well, so that would be like the perfect thing to do while out camping. So
yeah,
I might have to give that a shot this summer.
At that way that might shred, like I mean, we
might be a little too temperate. All of our barks get really, really thick in Montana. Like cottonwood bark is like one of my favorite woods to work with. Not bark, like when it gets like this thick sometimes, and the grain is just amazing. Like cottonwood bark behaves like a chunk of wood. It's so cool.
Yeah, you meant that the way you said it. Which like definitely
cottonwood bark
my head
is one of my favorite woods to work with.
That sounds so intriguing. All right, I'm gonna have to have you show me.
I'll definitely. I collect it every time I see it, a nice thick chunk, because it's wonderful stuff. I don't have any pictures on my phone, so we can't do it in the podcast, but I'll send you two. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, podcast viewers.
Who knows? It might happen some like strawberry Dolomite time or something like that.
It's some beautiful stuff, and the grain is just insane. If I remember, I'll bring some next time, but if not, I'll show those two.
Insane in the wood grain.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love that stuff. And it's soft, and because it's so soft, the grain is 100% uniform, so it carves like a dream. It's amazing.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting really interested now.
For my Renaissance Fair costume, I carved a raven skull out of the cottonwood bark, and it is weightless. It's like weightless stuff. So I like hang it off of my armor. It's like a little bauble on my armor. But yeah.
Wow.
All of this tirade, tangent to just suffice it to say, I would like to make rope out of bark at some point.
I concur.
Yes. Tangent aside, it looks cool. Yeah, I want to do that.
Cool project, Nate. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
I'm sorry. I know we always tangent, but like I'm feeling especially tangenty because my brain is just like done.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just done.
The inside of my head is like a maraca.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So you guys get to hear all that rattling and it's good.
Yes.
Hopefully. So on
So,
to Wednesday.
Wednesday, we had Ma'am Lambo, who did what Ma'am Lambo does best, and that is prep some fossils. And he specifically prepped. I said this commented on the video. I think that is my favorite crab he's ever prepped.
And that's saying something.
Yeah,
that
is saying a lot.
Something. But that was so amazing.
Cool. All of the
Coolest
spikes on the carapace are like still perfect. One of the legs is freaking pyretized. Like, what?
It's so sparkly.
It's so cool. That's amazing. It's incredible. The detail and preservation in that crab is just phenomenal. But I think the spikes on the carapace were what really sold it for me. Like, that is a next level preservation on that thing. Because those fine little details are the first thing to go usually.
Yeah. And I mean, a metal crab. I mean, come on.
It's so cool.
Yeah. And when he was chipping away at it and the pieces were flaying off, I mean, can you imagine unwrapping that kind of present?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It was like a gold jewel in there.
It's so cool. I can tell I work way too much with baculites though, because my first thought was, so I know you want to leave the rest of it raw, but I wonder what that leg would look like polished.
Right.
Just the gold leg. That's all you need to polish. Just the gold leg. Come on, man.
Where's my golden leg? Totally. That's, well, when he finds another one.
Yes.
That's the rule, right?
Yeah. Next time you find Ma'am Lambo, if you see this, next time you find the golden crab, you need to polish at least part of it. I know that kind of like goes against keeping the preservation intact, but that would look so cool as like full shiny golden arm. Oh my gosh.
We need to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then later on Wednesday, we had another person who happens to frequent curtains.
Uncurtained. No more jelly beans.
Who has two thumbs and hides behind curtains?
This guy.
Yeah. I'm glad you knew where I was going with that.
Okay. So a lot of you probably saw, but I'll go ahead and do this really quick. There we go. So I did this little ditty right here.
This little ditty.
And so there were some parts I didn't record because I didn't intend on leaving it this shape, because my initial plan was to round this all down to the cord side and then round that off so it's nice and flush and everything's looks nice and even. And so I had to go through here with razor blades to actually clean off the excess glue, and I didn't record that because I figured I'm not leaving this the way it is, and I ended up leaving it the way it was. I'm like, it's fine, not a big deal. But yeah, this is not what I wanted to make initially. I still had the doodle on the dry erase board of my idea that popped in my head, okay, let's do this. We'll have both sides hollow and have something else on initially I was thinking glass. It'd be cool to have glass. But I decided to cut quartz instead and do that way. And
which was a great idea.
Yeah, it worked out great.
That quartz is so cool.
And I still have two slices left. So those are backups just in case this one broke.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to do something that was a little bit different. I want to have some texture to it. It was really funny because I went down to the stone yard where they have all landscaping rock, and because we have a big boulder of this stuff in the front yard I use for decorative, and I was going to break off a chunk of that and work that, but I'm like, no, let's go find a smaller piece so I don't have to break up the yard boulder. And I go there, I get a couple small chunks. I still have the other one, and they have this big scale. He's like, just go ahead and put on the scale. The scale hardly even registered because I had two small pieces.
Yeah.
And it's 12 cents a pound. And he was trying to he's like, just take it. I'm like, here's $5. It's
nice.
It wasn't even worth $5. I'm like, here, just have $5. Just I know it's not if you're working outside, take the $5.
Right on. Have a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said to bring it back. I haven't brought it back yet, but I want to bring it back and show him like what I did with it.
Yeah, for those that don't know what it is, like they haven't seen your video yet, it's not a hex nut, right?
It is not a hex nut.
It's actually a little nightlight. I plugged in the LED here.
Yep. Demonstration.
Look at that glow.
So
I
cool.
love the
I love how it creeps out
property.
the side.
Yeah. I love the magnifying property of quartz because it just really blows up all of the inclusions and it looks so cool.
So the thing about this, I'm gonna tell a scary story now. No, so the thing about this, and okay, let's go back to gallery. Okay, and remove spotlight. Okay. I sanded, no joke, the quartz because I sanded the quartz separately from everything else. I was gonna have a polished quartz on the inside. I must have sanded this thing 8 or 9 times, possibly 10. And by the time I got to like 1200 grit, there's still scratches. I was having a really hard time getting the scratches out. And this is saying something because I work with obsidian, and like I was getting so irritated. I almost did it across the shop because I was getting so mad. But I just took it back to the belt sander and just did a pass with the Warren 100 grit and just left it. I'm like, it's gonna work. It's just gonna have to do. It's just gonna have to do. I'm gonna leave it the way it is. And I'm glad I did it that way because nothing about this is perfect. I mean, the edges of the inside quartz don't line up with the points here. Like nothing is naturally or perfect or even. Anything about this is just it's imperfection. Amy's like, "Are you gonna name it?" I'm like, I wouldn't know what to name it because like it's just. I mean, I guess it could be a reflection of like how I am. I'm not perfect and like everything's kind of wonky and weird, but I'm polished on some sides.
And it's great.
Yeah. But, yeah, and I'm really happy with the decision I made to not make it fully round because I explained in the video if I had this quartz inside, if it was flush with everything else, it would have been super bright. And having it like recessed like this gives it a nice like soft like glow around the edge. And I'm like, that was a good move. That was a really good move. And it's funny. I was gonna use either glass. I considered using obsidian because I think obsidian would. My mindset was, if I can polish some obsidian, I might give like a really soft, subtle glow, and that'd be like a really like nice nightlight for like at nighttime where it's like really subtle, not very bright. But I don't think the obsidian would have had the same like luminescence effect as the quartz did.
Yeah,
I don't think
I could definitely see that.
Yeah, maybe if I had a way to if I did use obsidian, have a way to like have the light underneath and then glue like strips of mirror facing inwards.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that would
capture all that extra light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, time was against my side. I started this last week. I'm like, and I already have next year's. If we're doing it again next year, I already have next year's project in mind. I'm going to do it probably before summertime, and just have it ready.
That's kind of where I'm at as well. Yeah. I've got next year's like ideas going, and I want to get started at least by July. Because this whole working late thing it's for the birds.
No, Jared's project was for the birds.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well played.
Jared also got started way ahead of time too.
Yeah.
So
but yeah, that was my Maker's Challenge project.
I think it's awesome. I freaking love it.
I feel like these would probably sell too if I made a bunch of these, but I'm not gonna make a bunch of these. If I make some more, they might be like because I have some other ideas I want to try out with this. Kind of more natural looking ones. But for the most part, no, I'm not gonna be doing a bunch of these because both of because the Nova points, like the 280 grit.
Oh gosh.
I wrecked that bit on this. Like it's all And then as it's like through the stages, like the 280 grit is like really like worn. And
Yeah.
600 grit's kind of worn, and then 1200 grit's like it's okay. It's not bad.
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of my similar experience, especially because that's granite. My experience with the Black Nova points is anything granular, just say goodbye. Your Nova point is not going to last whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'll have to buy more because I started using my Nova points on. There's one other project I was working on, but not really heavily. So I think this project I use the Nova points the most on, and I want to get more because like they're awesome.
Oh,
They
they're
are.
great.
Yeah.
They do their job well. It's just you have a lot of fallen soldiers along the way.
Yeah.
Those 280s just get murdered, unfortunately.
And you know what's really funny? So if you notice in the beginning of the video, like I was trying to use like the diamond cutting disc like to cut up the inside. My thought process was very similar to what Jerry did with bird bath, was to cut out those slots.
Yep.
And like none of this was like planned. Like I didn't know what Jerry was doing like when I was doing this project. So I thought it was kind of funny that he kind of did the same thing but on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
But that was the plan, was to use that Dremel, knock out those slats, and then use just a regular drill bit, the diamond like drill bits, and just like kind of like drill a hole there, and then like very carefully go through there and like whittle out a big hole. And like after I got through that the initial hole, I'm like, I'm not doing that. There's gonna be a faster way. This project is due next week. I don't have time to order something offline, so I just ran to Home Depot. I'm like, it says we'll do like stone, masonry, and like granite. This is granite. It should work.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you look up like any kind of cutting bits and they say they'll work on stone, if that's like one of the rare times where it's like you're totally safe with what you're working on. Like if I had an agate and I wanted to do that, it probably wouldn't work. But that stuff is actually made for cutting stuff like granite, so that's like best case scenario.
Oh, it was so much faster than what I was gonna do. I'm like, oh
yeah,
it was expensive. But in the long run, it was worth it because that means I can get a few more chunks and do some other like experiments.
Yeah, because now you have it.
Yeah, and they have other small bits too. And I was at Home Depot today, and I wanted to buy some smaller bits because I have other ideas as well. I'm like, no, I'll just go to I think it was Kingsley North, because I get their catalog, and I'm like, I'll just order some stuff ahead because that way I'm getting like proper lapidary bits, and because I can use it for granite and other like harder material.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it was.
You can never have too many hole saws. Those things are amazing. They're wonderful.
But so last tangent before I hide behind the curtain here again.
More.
So you may have noticed in the video, like I was working above a bucket. It was so messy. Like at one point when I was using the diamond disc, I came in and I was just covered in like granite, like powder and like dust from like the mess. And I almost stopped my project to do a different project, just for a quick video, because I was going to make a containment plastic container for dremeling, so it contains the mess, including like above. And I like have like, acrylic plate to like glue down, like cut a hole out of the actual lid and put the acrylic plate in so I can see. That way I can contain the mess. I almost stopped what I was doing so I can make that to contain the mess. So like, no, I can't be the master of procrastination right now. I have to stop. I have to focus.
That is so the way my brain works. I'm gonna make this other project to make this project I'm working on go more smoothly.
No, I almost did, but I had to stop. I'm like, no, time is against my side right now. Okay, but that was my project, and eventually I will make. I don't know if you can see it. No, it's on the other side here, but eventually I will make a container and show how, the different parts I bought for it, and so people can make one at home.
Heck yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
right.
it came out so awesome, man.
It did. Love it.
I was just trying to decide if it should go in our bedroom or it should go in River's bedroom. That's the deciding thing right now. I mean, right now it's out here, but eventually.
Right on. Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome.
All right. That was awesome.
That was. It's always nice to see the jelly bean man. It's great.
Those green ones taste very unpleasant.
Do they? Oh man.
They're the Dollar Tree like Easter jelly beans, and they're like
Oh, yeah.
or for $1. I'm like, I'll go ahead and get some. The green ones taste like what I would expect pine sol would taste like. It was like if it was a candy.
Oh,
4
gosh.
jelly beans. That's awesome.
Spilling the beans.
Thanks for the heads up on that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's power pine sol, baby.
That influences my future buying decisions.
Definitely.
Okay, so we have, when this comes out, it's Thursday. It'll be Friday when this comes out, but for us right now, it's Thursday. So there are still 2 days to go. Thursday is the most recent ones that have come out for us right now. So you guys know what Friday is, but currently we do not. So Thursday we had Agate Dad, who made an awesome obsidian knife with an antler handle.
Oh my gosh, with a tine stand.
Yeah.
Wow.
I loved it.
That was so cool.
It was so cool.
And that looked like Oregon obsidian too.
Yeah.
The striations. I was like, I want to see what it looks like in the light with water, because like, does it have fire in there? Because I think I may have sent him some obsidian, but I don't remember exactly what I sent him anymore. So that could have been from me, that could have been from anybody. But to me, it looked like Oregon obsidian.
Can you imagine if he made a fire obsidian knife?
Oh,
I would have cried probably a little bit, but you know. No.
But that's like a perfect application for it.
That's true. And
a decorative knife, like that's awesome.
And the way that he sanded and grinded the obsidian, if it was fire, it actually would have showed the color, so he would actually displayed it properly. So, but I didn't see any like colors. I think it was probably a different sheen or different layered obsidian.
It was so cool. It was so cool.
Yeah, and he also reminded us all how come we don't work lots with antler.
It smells like death.
It smells horrendously bad. It smells so bad. Funny enough, my dad actually has like a very long history of working with antler, so he's like an antler like genius when it comes to working with antler. And he was watching that video earlier today, and he's like, I wish I could have told him before he started the video that actually stuff for wood is the best way to cut antler. Like it makes sense because it's so dense that you would want to use lapidary stuff, but actually like wood saws, band saws, like that kind of stuff is the best way to cut it, because it's, you know, it's kind of a grained substance the way wood is. I don't know if you've ever tried cutting wood on a lapidary saw, but it doesn't work. It just kind of burns. That's the same thing that's happening with antler. It actually, the best way to cut antler is with something with an aggressive tooth.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes total sense. And thank you for that heads up, because although you know, he did remark on how he didn't want that smell in his life. The whole project really whet my appetite to try it. And I love the fact that like the size of the saw blade, the kerf, I guess, made the perfect slot.
The slot, that was awesome.
Like I loved everything about his project. And you know, to the extent that I'm going like, do I drop everything and make a knife right now?
Yeah, right. It's like, I have a stockpile of antlers downstairs. Maybe I should grab some of those. Yeah, it came out so awesome. Yeah, and I love that he left the brow tine on there. It's so cool. It's like the most perfect little built-in stand for a decorative knife. It's like, it's ideal.
Yeah, it is. And then he was talking about like in the worst case scenario, it is also part of your weapon. Like,
I was laughing so hard.
It's like a Kubaton or whatever. That was a great
awesome
video.
Project. Yeah,
very entertaining, as he always is.
Yes, I was gonna say, as always.
Good on you, Taylor.
Is that mine or yours? I hear
that's
barking.
Mine.
Okay. I never know which everyone.
One. I think that, you know, that there's probably like a leaf that dropped outside that they need to you know, completely put put the alarm on for.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Mine do that as well.
like anything.
Yeah.
And then the other one was Rock Hounding Live.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That was so pretty.
Yeah.
It made me laugh because I like typed out my comments on the video and then I looked through the comments and everyone made the same statements.
I did too.
That is otherworldly. That's out of this world. I'm like, oh, I feel way less original now.
Yeah. We all, because I did it right after I had watched the video. And so I didn't read the comments. I don't know how many had accumulated by then. And so, and then I was like, oh.
It's like, wow, I'm sure he's going to be tired of seeing this phrase by the end of this video. So
I said it was far out.
Right.
I said it was otherworldly.
Yeah, out of this world was mine. And I think, I know there were several others by the time I was done typing that.
Yeah. So he made a pendant, a spinning pendant out of meteorite, out of a specific type of meteorite that I don't remember the name of. But
because there were lots of words.
Yeah.
Like they were Scandinavian words that like described it's like what, but it's like the oldest one, I guess.
Yeah, it's so cool though.
Planet.
That the pattern is just insane. That lattice structure was like so cool.
There was a word for that too.
There was, and it was super German.
And we just forgot it.
Yeah.
Today.
It's because it's super German. I need to go back and rewatch
it starts with an M. So.
Was it M or W? I don't remember now.
Oh shoot!
See, we have the same shape in mind of what that letter should look like.
We're gonna see,
but
which
it's
one
upside
of us
down
is
for
upside
one
down.
of us. Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the fact that it was full of factoids, and
very
also,
informative.
Yeah, and then he did the acid treatment to bring that beautiful
the etching back.
Yeah, that the lattice or the matrix or the crystal habit or whatever you want to describe it as back. And I found that to be, riddled with information. The whole thing was both entertaining, but incredibly informative.
Yes.
And I just loved that.
It
was the whole package.
Yeah, it really was. And there was like this weird part of me when he was polishing it and he got the polish. I'm like, that looks so satisfying with that mirror finish. I know it destroys the lattice, or not destroys the lattice, but you can't see the lattice when it's polished like that. Right. But I kind of really like that mirror dome metal finish.
Like maybe one side, done and the other side left.
There was this weird, like, conflicted part of my brain where it was like, I really like the look of that lattice, but I don't know which side's better. But no, the lattice was absolutely better. It was the way to go. It was just more of I think that's more of the silversmithing end of my brain. That's like, ooh, look at that shine. Yay.
Polish. Yeah. How wet can I make this look?
Yeah, exactly. But the etching was absolutely the way to go. It looked so freaking cool.
And of course, like he had decided not to use the gunmetal, and so of course that left in my mind like, I wonder what that looks like.
Right.
And
so I was like, maybe I need to know.
Whittle away at that cube that he's got left over, or maybe some of the bits, just humor us. Do just a little one of those bits or something. We'll have to see if Jason's willing.
Yeah. That stuff is so cool. I had never heard of it before. That structure is just insane.
Yeah. I suspect, like, I have a piece of meteorite and I think it might be from that one. Because it has that same, and then I remember that, like, I got it so long ago that I've forgotten the provenance, which is like bad on me. But like, I think when he was talking about it, it was scratching some like, neuron way back here. That might be what you have.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, that was just spectacular.
It was phenomenal, fantastic work.
Yep.
As always.
Yep. Top to bottom.
So that actually catches us up to where the two of us are currently. When this video comes out, there will be 2 more videos available for all of you viewers at home. If you haven't watched them already, that will be from Michigan Rocks and Marlena Atkins. And then regardless of when you're viewing this or us here, the only one video will be left to come out, and that is mine on Saturday.
Which we are all looking forward to. This is your favoritist and longest and like so manyest.
I just kept finding myself just getting nothing done, just staring at it. Like,
oh wow!
I was cleaning today, like just madhouse cleaning, and every time I walked by it, I would like catch my I just sit down and just stare at it and inspect it. I'm like,
oh wow,
this is one of the coolest things I've ever made.
Spoilers, he made a bust of me.
Yeah, it's literally just a granite bust of Kyle. And I'm like, man.
And he puts it on his piano like Beethoven.
Yeah.
What did Theo make? Wrong answers only.
Yes. Wrong answers only. I love that idea. Down in the comments. I cannot wait to share it with all of you guys. I hope I'm not like overhyping it, but it's something I've been wanting to make for as long as I've done carving and rock hounding and even woodworking. It's just a project I have always wanted to do, and it feels so good to have it done, and it came out so much better than I had ever envisioned it looking. Like, it's just stunning. I'm so happy about it.
I think I know what it is.
Can we get a hint? Is it like one big piece or like a bunch of little pieces?
Yeah, Kyle thinks he knows what it is too.
It's you could say either one of those things.
Ooh.
Okay. I think I know what it is.
There's a nothing burger of an answer for you.
So okay, so that wraps up the Maker's Challenge, I believe.
Yes, it does.
Except for that we didn't do mine because it's shows and tells.
Yes.
And thanks Theo for inviting us all for the Maker's Challenge. It's
of course
such a cool tradition, and thank all of the makers out there for doing such an amazing job on this.
And always be willing to come back and so excited and eager to do it again. Like, I don't know. After the first one, I had a hope that we could make it an annual thing, but I was like, man, I don't want to impose on anyone. And then it's like, every time since the moment Makers comes around, that time of year comes around, and I start reaching out to everyone, it's just like instant responses, like, yep, I'm in. Like, been waiting for this. Like, okay,
right?
This has turned into such a fun tradition.
Yeah, or they're asking, like, is it time?
Yeah, has the time
Theo,
come?
like, said anything about it yet? Yeah. Or throughout the year, like you just heard us talking about, have you thought about your Maker's Challenge?
Yeah, it's funny. I've heard that from a lot of the makers where they're like, they know, all of the spring makers know that it is an annual thing, and they will be invited to come back for the next one. So it's like, you have 12 months to think about what you're going to do next time. So it's always at the back of your mind.
It is like when you find that big rock, or do that weird thing, or would this make the Maker's
this would
Challenge?
be perfect for makers.
Right.
This is a cool idea. I should save that for makers.
That's why I have my next idea like already planned out for the next year.
Yep.
And there's like, I'm not gonna change it. Like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it, and there's a reason behind it. And if I do it ahead of time, I can actually show why I did it. So
you heard it here. So Kyle, we're holding you to that.
Yes.
I'm excited. That's awesome. All right. Well, so what I did for my Maker's Challenge, I had always wanted to do some sand casting, and I kept on putting it off because every time you pick up a new form of art or lapidary, an application for it, like metalsmithing or what have you, it's like adopting another puppy.
It is. It's dangerous. It's dangerous.
Both like time wise and economy wise, like financially.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of I think I'm getting better, but I definitely used to be able to claim the queen of low tech. I love low tech for some reason, like keeping it simple. Mm-hmm. And so the sand casting just so fits into that. Somebody asked me, I think in the chat during my video, wouldn't a centrifuge be easier? The whole regular casting, right?
Yeah, investment casting is ideal, but those machines are not cheap.
That was my answer.
Yeah, exactly. I would love a
like,
machine to
don't have one
centrifuge
back,
that
but-
stuff, but
So,
not all of us can have one.
yeah, or you belong to like a cool lab, a lot of
Yeah.
times clubs or if you have a good junior college near you or something like that, they'll have a great lab that you can use. And it's just not the case here. And I got a lot of sand. I'm at the beach, so why not do this thing? And so I thought I'd bring a couple of the things along for you guys to see, because so many people, again, even in my comments, were going like, oh, I gotta try that.
Yes,
And
I
so,
love metal casting. It's like one of my favorite things to do.
right?
It's so
Yeah.
much fun. I haven't
And
done it
it's so
on that
open.
small of a scale, though. Usually I'd use my foundry and do aluminum casting, but I don't trust it anymore because it was a charcoal setup. And I'm like, this is fire hazard waiting to happen. Like, I'm not touching this thing until I swap to propane.
Yeah, that's an appliance you want to trust.
Yeah, exactly. I trust it. I just don't trust, the embers that come out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's actually a really good point, is that if you want to try this thing, you definitely want to love fire.
Yeah.
Or not be, worried about like making something really, really hot for a while. It's got to be molten and that sort of thing. And so, if that sort of thing is intimidating or not up your alley, then probably not. Or if you don't have a place where you can do it safely, probably not.
Actually, last time, I'll cut you off. I promise. This is the last time.
No.
My recommendation for anyone that wants to know if they want to get into metal casting, there is a safe and easy way to do that. And it involves, in the realm of molten metals, extremely low temperatures, and that is bismuth.
Oh, yeah.
You can melt bismuth on a stovetop.
There you go.
It goes molten at about 540 degrees. So you turn your burner on high, you can smelt bismuth on your countertop and then do your sand casting or lost wax casting or investment casting. But if you have a centrifuge, you're probably not using bismuth. But if you want to know if metal casting is something you want to get into, I'd highly recommend buying a little bismuth and giving it a shot, because it's a very low entry realm to get into. See if it's something you'd be interested in before you go all out and buy the other stuff. But yeah,
that's great advice. Seriously. Yeah, because it is something I think that you kind of want to know for sure that you want to do and handle.
Yeah.
Before, maybe getting into it. But I brought I have a little cylinder here. This came with the Delft clay. So sand casting, you can mix your own sand. I'm going to do that, but because for the Makers Challenge, I wanted it to work, I decided that I would hedge my bets. And so you can buy a clay that's special for the jewelry casting. One of them is Delft clay. And they actually, there was a kit and it came with this, and this is actually what you end up casting into. It's 2 parts, whatever it is that you cast into wants to, have a positive 2 sides, so that you can get the 2 sides of your project. And this one's a top load. And after watching several videos as I'm getting ready to do this thing, after I had this one, I ordered this one, which is actually the one that I used. Look, it's still got traces of my project in it, like the last one that was successful. And so you can see
because that's got the funnel built in. Like, that's ideal.
These two, like, yeah. So you put this whole thing together, and it's a side load. So what's actually happening is that it's going, I'm glad I left the clay in here, because when you're pouring it in that top there, it's going directly into that void that you can see I've like scooped out. It looks like pumpkin pie or something.
It kind of does with the zoom camera.
Believe me, it does not taste like pumpkin pie. But you want the molten metal going straight into your project, as opposed to having to like turn a corner and go into your project. And you guys saw, if you saw my video, how many tries it took me to even get one successful pour. And so I can't imagine, how much more involved. Plus that one was bigger. And again, you're about to see what I ended up doing. And I needed one that was bigger because for my vision, I wasn't going to be able to cast a big enough item with this little ring. And so I got the bigger one. And
the
that
sand
turned out to
casting
be...
is definitely ideal for that kind of stuff. Because usually what I do is lost wax casting, where you set it in plaster, but those are one-time use. And you have to wait for all the moisture to leave the thing. So it's like you make your mold, you let it dry completely overnight, you put it in the oven to melt the wax out, and then you could do your pour, and then you break the plaster to get your metal piece out. So if it fails, that means you've got another 24 hours before you can pour again. With the sand, if it doesn't work, you can just start right over, which I love about the point.
Yeah. So I love low tech, number one. Number two is I'm instant gratification girl, you know? So like, especially with those failures, like I kind of was like, meh, and moved on to like, I can immediately turn around, carve out the burnt stuff, repack it. You can reuse all of it except for the burnt stuff. You can reuse all of that silver. Nothing goes to waste because it might be just globtobular, but guess what? It's great and consolidated. It's ready to throw in the crucible and to...
Yeah, you've got it in like a perfect nugget form. It's like ready to melt right back down.
It's even better. Yeah. And so this is actually the crucible. And
that borax made that so beautiful. I'm
isn't
sorry.
That so pretty?
I couldn't believe the color.
It keeps on changing. Like this is much more, there's like all this red through here now.
Yeah, that's so weird.
And so I am in love, like Kirk, if you're watching, like I was so thinking of you and your beautiful ceramics when I was working with that. And like I said, it changed every time. So, you know, I'd stop and I'd be like admiring the crucible before like, oh wait, no, I'm doing the jewelry thing. And so we did first my ring. I still haven't poured my ring successfully yet. So that's how like not only new am I, but like there's a lot of like little hitches to this thing that you get to work out. It's very organic, and that's with the good clay, not the sand yet. And so, you know, there's a lot to work out. But we did his wedding ring, and I the sprue was there.
Aaron's over here making the nine rings of power for men.
I'm on it. So this looks just like Hershey's Kiss. Do not eat this. So that's the sprue from one of them. So that cone shape that you saw in the mold or the cylinder there, that leads to your project, and it ends up looking very, very much like this. And then you cut that off. And so you can see where I cut one off of that. And it's got the texture of the sand, which as we go along, I want more texture. That's my point.
I was going to say, it actually looks really cool. Like you can get rid of it and like polish it back up, but I love that natural texture. It's the same reason I love cuttle bone casting. Because that texture that it leaves behind is like it's like the whole point of doing it for me anyway.
Totally.
Looks so cool.
Precisely it. And so the more organic, the more of me I can take out of it actually, and the more organic and the thing that it is that it wants to be, that's the direction I want it to go. And so so now also we have a backup of Steve's wedding ring if anything like should ever happen. And so that's a good thing. So I got around to where's the rock in this project? Well, the point was to actually get casting into the fossil shells, because one of the things that I love about the shells, because you like stop not liking shells, right? Is that our fossil shells, a lot of people here, like they'll visit me and love the fossil shells. Well, I can give them to them, but I most certainly can't like do any trade with them because they're protected, and they should be. They're precious, and you know, a part of our, you know, the paleo record that shouldn't be traded, I think. And so being able to cast that though, so that somebody can have one without having one is, I think, a really cool way to preserve it. And so with that particular one, I forgot, I have the the shell also here to show you. I'm holding that. So one of the
So
things that
cool.
happens, is that it will end up being slightly smaller. Like
Mhm.
there's a little teeny weeny bit of shrinkage involved in the metal casting. But yeah, that's the same guy for sure. And then I set a little peridot right there. You can cast stone straight into this process as you can with a regular casting. And so I'm definitely wanting to try that, but that was too many new things to do all at once. And so I haven't like done a freestone casting, but that is actually like an inset setting. And so I
Right.
buzzed that out and did the little flush bezel.
Oh,
And so
cool.
that was a blast.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
am
like
so
fun.
That is so fun. And so of course it needed a gem in it, right?
Of course.
Everybody, like paint a bird on it, put a gem in it. And so the second one, and this was actually the vision. So my whole makers challenge was surrounded, like it was all leading up to this guy. And so what this is when you have a fossil shell and a regular shell, it's got this skeleton on the inside. And so this is basically a cross section. And so I took one of the fossil shells and I just ground it down on both sides until I had the cross section. Yes, I could have sliced it, but I've sliced these a few times and had the whole thing fall apart. So I was like,
Yep. That same thing with modern shells. That happens to me all the time. So it's like, let's just grind from each side instead.
That's like hedging the bets, and it doesn't take that long, because all of that is pretty soft material. So not a big deal. But so once I got it there, I had to bore out the matrix of the original fossil shell because it was completely filled in with matrix material. And so I bored that out, and then that became the casting. Well, it broke, or else I'd show you that shell. It's in pieces now. So that's a very limited edition. Somebody asked on one of my comments, it seems like you could make repeated ones. And that is the point of casting. A lot of the casting, unless you're doing a burnout, you've got like a model of something that you're casting over and over and over again. So I can do multiples of these. Not two will be alike because of the sand casting process, with the organic nature of it. Each one is going to be a little bit different, which is super cool. But as far as that one goes, there will only be, I got one cast that was two pieces that you saw in the video, and then the one that actually worked, and that's it. So
it looks limited. So good. That silver came out so beautifully.
Want to trade for a nightlight?
What's that? Oh, yeah, right. Ooh. Yeah, I'm trying to wonder where that thing is going. And I want a nightlight, though. I need a nightlight.
So it'd be really cool to use that process either on like a shark tooth, or even on a trilobite, like a small trilobite.
And like that's what exactly, Kyle, like the brain is exploding because you're going like, okay, small format trilobite, like those pyrite ammonites that they get from the Lost Coast. I was like, that would be perfect because a lot of those can be very small. And it would be a perfect thing to compress the sand around. I broke the shell because if you saw the video, you end up hammering, which all of it is so therapeutic, like putting things on fire and the molting and the like hammering stuff. And it's just like so visceral and fun.
That's one of my favorite things about the Lost Wax casting with the plaster. Because you literally have like a cylinder of plaster and you have to smack that thing open like it's like opening up a geode, except it's filled with a metal, like whatever you can.
Like an amalgam of the geode and those like chocolate eggs from Germany that you got, like that has the toy inside.
Yeah, exactly. A Kinder. Yes. So actually, I think I have one here. Now that I think about it, not a Kinder egg, one of my metal castings. Here,
cool.
I'll be right back.
Oh, that would
Short
be rad.
time out. Don't stop talking though. We'll keep the show rolling just because I'm not.
Okay. So as far as the project goes, definitely give it a try if you've been wondering about casting, because you saw how simple it is in my video. I basically made a fire friendly area in my kitchen. And so, it can be done. I'm not saying go do it.
I want to do it.
I mean, as far as like legally, I'm not telling you to do that. Don't blame me for burning down your house or anything like that. But that, like, everything is very accessible. I was just using a propane torch, and so there wasn't like a large amount of gear, I think, that you have to accumulate. And the silver just came from the snippings of my jewelry projects that I've been working on for quite some time. I have amassed a lot of like just little cuts, and those of you who do jewelry know, especially fabrication, you've got all sorts of little bits of silver. Those of you who don't, you can go to a Goodwill or something along those lines, flea markets, and if you see the numbers 925 stamped on a piece of silver, then it's supposed to be sterling silver. And
I've been trying. It's hard, especially Goodwill, because there's so many people that shop there. And because like every time I go, I do a quick look, and usually like silver, it looks different from like your normal stainless steel, so it should like sit out differently. But I think with today's day and age, they put a lot of stuff on online now, so they have people looking for that stuff now. So it gets really difficult. And plus, with the way things are going, people are trying to buy more gold, buy more silver. So those people out there that are not only looking for like jewelry, but they're also looking for like old coins that have a higher silver content to melt down, or even just to trade up. I don't know, but
yeah, these are great points. And I think that some people, they go looking in their own jewelry case, like, okay, so what do I not want to wear anymore? Somebody gave me a baggie of like all these little broken chains and pendants and charms and things like that they just didn't want anymore. Like, you sure? And you can melt all of that down, which is super fun in your crucible. And then if you're casting, cast it. But even if you're not, you can pound it out and make some sheet or draw some wire. I mean, it's a great way to recycle silver if you can get your hands on it, which it's going up so fast right now.
that's because people are buying.
Yeah, it's very, very hot in the market right now. But I don't know. I think that especially if it's something that you're interested in, I think it's very, very easy to get into doing some of it. So do you think you'll do it, Kyle?
I want to kind of like look into it for sure. How much did it cost for the little the clay tube?
So yeah, I bought that as a kit. So it was the Delft clay, and it came with the little ring, this little guy. And I'm sure this works because they sell it, and I've seen people on demos use it and stuff like that. And so I'm sure it's fine. It just didn't fit my project. And I think that I paid, I want to say like $75 or something like that for it. And then, the crucible setup, I think that'll set you back like another 10-15 bucks. I mean, really, for me, like getting into a project for that much, let's see, if you don't have the propane and torch tip, like that'll put you back probably another 60-70 bucks right there too, for the propane can. And then the torch tip that I bought, I think it was I can't remember if it was the $40 one or the $60 one that I bought, but you can do it with a regular, like if you've seen in my video, I had one that had a hose, and I prefer that. But I do a lot of soldering. I do a lot of torch work. And so for me, that's not an investment that puts me back. Like I use that like almost every day, one version of that or another. And so you can just have a torch tip that screws straight onto your propane. And as long as you're comfortable holding that for the time that it takes for you to melt that silver in your crucible, you're fine. So it's just what you're willing to do. Because believe me, like the first couple times, I was like, how long is this going to take? I just wasn't
exactly
ready for that.
I like, if for you, you were gonna love it. So makes sense to jump right in. But that's why I love recommending bismuth to people that aren't sure if they want to take that leap. Because you can do it on your stovetop. And then I promise you, the first time you do it, you'll be hooked and you'll be looking how to achieve those higher temps. I tried finding it. I know I have one here. I don't know where it is. So I'm going to look for it after the podcast and see if I can find it. If I can, I will send pictures to Kyle. Excellent. But it's just wax casting of a seashell out of bismuth.
Cool. A shell.
Yeah, of course. Of course. That's why I wanted to grab it, because I was like, I actually have done this with shells before.
Oh, wow. That's great. Yeah, I guess, there's something about the shells that really lend themselves to wanting to
they look
be
so
immortalized that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because they like, if you think about it, the constituents of the sound itself are those shells. And so there's something poignant about them making the thing happen. But knowing that they turn into the sand, that they never last forever. Not as a fossil, not as as a shell, they go be sand after a while. And so it's kind of cool to make a metal one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know where it is. I wanted to show that, but I don't know where I put it. It's somewhere.
Is it silver? Or
no,
what did you?
That one is bismuth, actually. I actually have not done any casting with silver. I've only done bismuth and aluminum and not copper, brass at one point. But because my crucible for my foundry is like this big.
Right.
It's a 16 ounce, I think, if I remember correctly. I don't remember. It's for bigger stuff. I actually really need to get one of those little crucibles for precious metals, because the graphite crucibles, you lose a lot of metal just because it grips onto the walls, which ends up coating everything. But yeah, I have.
That's why you get to play with the borax, with the ceramic, is that you get to make that beautiful glaze, and that's what keeps it slipping around inside.
Exactly.
But Theo, we won't see you for a while.
I know, it's true.
Try it, and I swear. And you know that you don't need these guys. Like I use this because I'm comfortable with doing something that I can, like, say, watch a YouTube video on and do it. But I did catch some videos of people that were making their own out of wood.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah,
I really need to delve into that. I have a lot of experience with lost wax casting, but I have never done any sand casting before. Pretty much all of the casting I've done has been lost wax.
Yeah, that's the same here, and it was forever ago. So I was like, all right, I see people. There's a lady on Instagram that always posts. She's in New Zealand, and I cannot for the life of me remember her name right now, but I have her to thank, because I watched a few of her little shorts that she always puts up on Instagram, and I was like, I have to do that. I cannot go another day without trying that. And so really it was her inspiration that made me need to do it. But I mean, basically it's just, she's sitting there in shorts and flip-flops and, just banging them out. And so I'm like, okay, don't get all up in your head about this. Like, just
yeah, absolutely.
Rocket science.
Yeah, I really want to dive into the sand casting. I have like 5 ounces of scrap silver, so I have supplies to work with. So I don't know why I haven't.
Yeah, that's what I kept on eyeballing, my big pile, because I always like chuck it in the same pile. And I'm like, oh, I got some silver, and I can barely afford to like order it right now.
Yeah,
so might as well.
For casting rough, if you're making like say if you're doing investment casting or sand casting, it's actually cheaper to buy beads. It's called beads, where you're just buying like little pellets of metal that's processed completely, and then you just melt that down and pour it. And it's way more cost efficient to do it that way if you can, than to buy, say, backplate or bezel or half round or something like that.
Yeah, because
It's
that's been
way cheaper.
processed.
Yeah, exactly. So
whereas the pellets, like if you buy them off a Rio or whatever, you get a good,
exactly.
good price. Yeah.
Yep. That is like bottom line price of whatever that cost is per ounce. That's what you're paying, and it's brilliant. It's one of the reasons I want to get more into the casting, because you save a small fortune making all of your own, like fabricating everything from the ground up, from beads all the way to a finished piece. Like bezel, backplate, half round, band, it gets expensive.
Fast.
Yes, very quickly.
All right. Well, you know what? I think that's it. I think we've done it.
We have. I think all that is left is my show and tell.
Oh, you have show and tell, of course. Yes,
I do.
We'll see it. And it's worth it. Oh my gosh.
I love how we're like, this is going to be a faster, shorter podcast, and here we are tangenting because everything is so cool.
Right.
So this is the piece that I meant to bring last time and forgot, and it said I would. I remembered one of the two things. I forgot the other thing. This
oh my gosh.
Cypress knee agate from Florida. The coolest part about this right here is that our good friend Derek discovered this agate. And I don't mean like he found this agate. Derek was the one who first discovered Cypress knee agate. He found it while he was diving, and it was previously undescribed.
That's incredible.
It is so cool.
Is it because he was at a certain location, or it just hadn't been observed?
I don't know if it was just like never actually like recorded, but had been observed, or if he was literally just the first person to ever like find the stuff. But he said,
I want one.
It's so cool.
I know
one. He gave me this big old piece, and I'm like, dude, this is huge. And he's like, down at the bottom of that river, I saw pieces like this, the size of cars.
No way.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to do that at some point. It's not probably going to show up at all in Zoom. I tried taking a video, but it didn't really capture it either. It is 100% coated in druzy.
Yeah, and if your mind wasn't previously blown looking at this, it is now.
Yeah, because the whole thing sparkles. It's so cool. Like, this stuff is incredible. That takes bots to a whole nother level.
Would it be considered bots or tubes or plumes?
Plumes.
I would say actually
they feel like
stalactites. Yeah. You see how stringy everything is. It's so cool though. I love it. I love it so much. It's so cool. All right, and then lastly, this was the dang it. Now I got little crumblies on my laptop. I do this every time.
Right, and they're like gritty, sharp crumblies.
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
right?
It's like
Not
freaking
kind.
silicate in my keyboard.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you guys watching podcast get massive spoilers for a video that is probably like 3 weeks out at this point, because I have other stuff that in the pipeline that has to come out first. When we went on Monday, I found what is confirmed to be my biggest agate I've ever found.
Wow.
It's freaking huge. It's a monster. It's ridiculous. I haven't weighed it yet, but it is heavy.
Oh yeah.
It's so nice.
You're just doing presses right now.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's like literally like the size of my head. And I say this all the time in my videos. It's unfortunate that I am as large of a human as I am, because it makes things look way less impressive when I hold them. Like,
I don't think so.
You make Alexis hold the same rock and it looks like enormous, and then I pick it up like with one hand, and it's like it's not fair that I have, big old spider hands, so everything looks smaller when I'm holding it.
Oh man, that is so cool though. And weren't you saying that there was like a surprise when you were finding it?
Yes, yeah. So when I found it, it was, well, for starters, it was literally the first find of the day. So there's that. But which side was it? I'm trying to remember which pocket it was. It was this side. So when I found it, this is what was poking above the ground.
Which is
So,
still like an awesome find, right? If
yeah,
it was
I
just
found that.
that
I was like,
side,
oh, that's a good egg.
Yeah.
So I started digging. I dug out a bunch and moved all the rocks out of the way. And then I tried pulling it out and it didn't budge. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have something exciting on our hands here. So I kept digging and digging and digging. And finally this thing came out and I about lost my mind.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's quite the extraction.
So this was apparently the universe saying, hey, I recognize you've worked hard on your Maker's Challenge. You need this right now.
Boy, howdy.
Because that was the day that I needed to take a river break for my sanity. And the first find of the day was my biggest agate yet. So that was awesome. And we found so many freaking agates that day. It was an amazing day. But again, I have other videos that need to come out before that one does. So yes, be excited for that one. That was an awesome hunt.
Wow. And I'm compelled to ask you, are you gonna cut it?
That's the question. Because normally I have a very strict I don't cut my biggest until I find one bigger policy, but this one's showing iris signs. So if I could get like a 10-pound iris agate, that would be amazing.
Dude,
That's the stuff dreams are made of.
So like, just
oh gosh.
When you have too much rainbow, that's a lot of rainbow.
Oh man, it's amazing. If it was iris, I would lose my mind. Like I don't think. Oh, it's amazing. It's so cool.
I think that there's probably like a huge amount of shouts happening right now from the chat. Like, got it.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure there is a full-blown debate going on at the moment.
All I can hear is that part from Finding Nemo where they're trying to sacrifice him. Oh gosh, shark bait. Ooh ha ha.
Yeah.
He's just a boy.
He's just a boy. I literally just watched Finding Nemo the other day. That's funny.
Wow.
I guess it wasn't the other day. It was like 3 weeks ago because I made it a point to watch every Pixar movie. Tangent aside.
Oh yeah, you were sick, right? And
I was
that
home.
when you were sick?
I think it was right before I was sick. Alexis was out of town for like 5 days, and me being the 27-year-old man that I am, I'm like, we're gonna watch Pixar.
Come on, cartoons are awesome. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, wow, that was fantastic. You guys all got to see a preview of a video that's way in the future. Spoilers right there.
Yes.
Do you have some whys for everyone?
My whys would be, if you have an idea, follow it. And that is totally pertaining to the Maker's Challenge. That is what all of the makers have been doing this week. They're chasing ideas and coming out with amazing results. Sometimes wondering gets left at wondering, and that's a shame because it can turn into such an amazing discovery or result if you just follow that train of thought. Like everything that has ever been created that is really, really cool started with a wonder. So wonder and then follow that.
Oh, excellent. Those are great words. Bravo. That makes up for all the times that you didn't have one.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I was like, okay, this is Maker's video. I have to have something.
Yeah, that was great. I think not surprisingly enough, mine also had something to do with the makers, and that's make goals. So I think that also piggybacks on what you're just saying, like give yourself something to reach for, because I don't know, for me, like I could plod along very happily just doing the things that make me happy, like you soldering things together or finding the rocks on the beach or whatever. But having a goal that pushes you, like I have this thing that I gotta do. What am I gonna do? And
no, absolutely.
It, like I said, I had seen that woman, Sonia is Something Designs. Therese designs, something like that. My apologies, lady. You're so awesome. But so yeah, I kept on seeing that, but it took the goal. It took the goal to finally rock me out of just seeing it and wanting to do it to doing it. You know, like you have to come up with something good, so do this thing. And so that's make the goal. And then you saw how many times I didn't get the goal during the video. So be gracious with yourself when there's failure, because there will be some. But see yourself through to the other side of the goal. Yeah.
I'd say that's huge. Goal setting is like key. That's like number one. Because if you just have a thought and don't actually a thought is as your groundwork, but goal setting is how you actually lay out the blueprints for how you're going to achieve what you want to achieve, And that goes for more than just project. That's like life in general. Like goal setting is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Make a date, like commit to it. Like, yes. I think that's part of like the backbone of the goal is like it implies a commitment.
Yeah. You need a deadline.
The imagination part is fun and like, oh, that would be cool to try or whatever, but yeah, like deadline me on that so that I'll procrastinate for this many weeks, but then I got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. Like, if the more goals I make, the more procrastination I do.
Yeah. I hear that. Yeah. I mean, whatever works for you. Like I said, if it's appropriate, reset it, or, be gracious with yourself when you've got your falling forward failures, as Theo likes to say.
Failing forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't burn myself when I was failing forward.
That's a plus.
One of the comments was like, that was excruciating to watch you go through. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to include them so that everybody knows, like, it's okay. Like we don't get it on the first try. When we like edit a nice video that like is this fabulous process and look at this wonderful thing at the end, like that's all well and good, but that's not how it happens a lot of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I appreciated that about the Agate Dad video. He was sharing with us like,
Yeah, exactly. Because that is absolutely a part of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for hanging out with us for all of the tangents and all of the Makers Challenge fun. Do you have anything else you want to leave these guys with?
Just if you haven't already, today, when this comes out, there will be 2 more videos to watch. So make sure you go to Michigan Rocks and Marlena Atkins so that you see those 2 videos coming out. And I hope to see you all on Saturday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time.
There's a tag, right? Makers Challenge 4?
Yes. Hashtag Makers Challenge 4.
So
no apostrophe.
You get them all that way.
They're all there. I also have playlists. If the hashtag isn't working for you, I have a playlist with every Makers Challenge video ever. And then I have each challenge separated into a playlist as well.
That's as good as binge watching Pixar right there.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, those of you out there that are wondering about doing a challenge, definitely follow through with that. Try any of these things that we've done. If you've got weird rocks, send us those pictures and stories to the email in the description, along with joining us over on the Discord, when we always talk about weird rocks and challenges and all sorts of things over there all week long. And on behalf of all of us here at the Rockhound Podcast, we love you. We love finding rocks. Have a great weekend, and we will chat about these things in another couple weeks. Cheers.
Perfect. Bye.